I offer my sincerest, heartfelt gratitude to all of you. My dear Father, who has traveled over 10,000 miles to be here. My dear brother, my lifelong friends, Gary, Richard, to these illustrious God brothers and God sisters, Guru Das Prabhu, Shamsundar Prabhu, Chanakarta Prabhu, Narasimhananda Prabhu, Nartaki, Sachi Devi, Shankar Shan, Sacharya, and so many others. To Sri Ram Kumar, one of the high priests of the Jagannath temple. To Brajenjanandana Prabhu, the long-time personal servant of one of Srila Prabhupada's dearest godbrothers, Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. And to each and every one of you. This is a celebration of Krishna, whose divine grace has come down through the ages. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanardaya sambhavami juge juge. Krishna tells us in Gita that he descends into this world to attract the hearts of those who have forgotten him and to reestablish the true principles of religion. Through disciplic succession, this knowledge has been preserved and presented to the world. And our beloved Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he crossed several oceans and continents time and time again as an instrument of this compassion. And we have heard from so many of his disciples who are far more intimate and dear to him than I ever was, or perhaps will be. Personally, I'm just an insignificant person trying to serve. And by Srila Prabhupada's grace, he's allowing me to perform this service. And it is I who thank each and every one of you, because the most intimate, personal, loving association Srila Prabhupada has ever given me is in the opportunity to serve each and every one of you. You are all Srila Prabhupada's representatives to me, because I can connect with him, I could serve him, and hopefully I could please him by helping all of you to serve him. vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. The gift we have been given, which is unique, not just a religion with beliefs and rituals. We have been given a culture and a philosophy that culminates in selfless love. Love for God, for Krishna, and for all living beings. Lord Chaitanya taught Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajja Kabunoi Sravanadi Sudichiti Koriya Yudoy. That love for Krishna is the nature of everyone. It is our greatest potential, and it is our true identity. But we have forgotten. And what keeps us in that forgetful state? What keeps us from experiencing our real inheritance? We are Satchit Ananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And the ecstasy of love for Krishna is within the heart of every one of us. It is selfishness, egoism, where we want to put ourselves in the center of our motivations and our decisions in life. Krishna consciousness, true Sanatana Dharma, is to put the pleasure of Krishna in the center of our lives. And we see within the world, among religions and among ourselves, so much quarrel, mundane competition, and conflict. We have been commissioned to access the highest treasure and to distribute it to the world. But this is the one and only thing that prevents us from accomplishing that purpose. We hold on to our own egoistic, selfish desires. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established the Sankirtan movement. That is the movement where we come together. Despite our race, our nationality, our sex, our religion, despite our backgrounds, our social status, we come together as eternal family, as children of God, to inspire, empower each other to love God through the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. And to the degree we genuinely care about each other without selfish pride, we all gain incredible spiritual strength through the grace of Prabhupada and Krishna. I'd like to speak an analogy. Could everyone hear? Thank you. Recently, this was just a couple months ago, I was in San Francisco, California. With one of my very, very dear friends and godbrothers, Vaisheshika Prabhu. We have a special tradition. No matter what else happens during the year, I try every year to go there. And under the pretense of giving lectures and counseling, I spend one full day with Vaisheshika Prabhu walking through a redwood forest called Muir Woods. Shamsundarji Prabhu and Guru Das Prabhu told me that they took Srila Prabhupada many years ago on walks through Muir Woods. So it's a very holy place of pilgrimage. There, some of the largest trees on planet Earth, redwood trees. Some redwood trees, it takes 40 people 40 grown adults holding hands to make a circle around one tree. They have very thick bark, and they grow higher and higher and higher and higher. They're the tallest trees in the world. They're the widest trees in the world. And often they live thousands of years. And every time I go there, I learn some special lessons about life, about bhakti, from these trees. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna tells about this Avadut Brahman who had, I think it was 24 gurus. The sun, the earth, the clouds, the moon, the trees, the pigeons, the bees, different kinds of people. So if we're really searching for Krishna, Krishna reveals so many lessons in our common life. Every year, Vaisheshika Prabhu and I spend hours and hours and hours just revealing our hearts and speaking in this beautiful forest. Because the bark of the trees is so thick and there's so many, there's hardly any sunlight that could get in that area. And it's very quiet. You hear every footstep. Like that. And as we were walking and speaking about our realizations, about Srila Prabhupada, about our people we're meeting, about our own hearts, our struggles, we came upon a group of tourists. They were from China. And they were gathered around a forest ranger. They're like the people who take care of the forest. He was giving them a lecture. So we stood a little behind the tourists to hear the lecture. Would you like to hear? What are you supposed to say? Thank you. He explained that for most trees, in order to get the strength to not fall down, the roots grow very, very deep. Like for instance, a palm tree, the roots usually grow as deep in the ground as the tree is above the ground. Redwood trees are the tallest trees on the planet, and the roots do not grow deep. And some of them are standing for 2,000 years. They're standing through hurricanes, cyclones, tornadoes, windstorms, earthquakes. In this forest in San Francisco, there's been about 5 or 6 earthquakes, major earthquakes, since these trees have been standing and growing. How do they stand? He explained the secret. The roots grow out. They go underground and they reach out. And they have a special mystical power, these trees. That the roots, when they come in contact with each other, they wrap around each other many times. And the roots are growing all around. And they grow wide, wide, wide. So each tree may be connected to every other tree in the forest, directly or indirectly, because the roots are all interconnected. And then earthquakes and cyclones and everything pushing, and they're all holding each other up underground by the roots. And it enables them to keep growing and growing thousands of years. This is Sankirtan. Srila Prabhupada, one of his last instructions to us was you can show your love for me by how you cooperate with one another. This is a very deep statement. Because in this age of Kali, the time of quarrel and hypocrisy, it's very difficult to cooperate. But from Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we understand cooperation doesn't simply mean to somehow or other keep peace treaties, to somehow or other not fight, to somehow or other not destroy each other. That's the basics of cooperation. But true cooperation means to actually really feel for each other, care for each other, love for each other, because that's what keeps us strong in our bhakti. Our very roots have to be interconnected. When Prabhupada gave us this instruction of cooperation, because it is a vital necessity for our individual and collective spiritual growth, where we really care. In these redwood forests, these little tiny redwood trees, they're so frail. They're just growing little by little by little. But they have all the power and the strength of all the gigantic redwood trees because their roots are interconnected with them. And all the big trees are getting tremendous strength from the little trees because through the little trees they're being connected with other big trees on the other side of the little trees. The weak get stronger, the stronger get stronger, and all their strength is being shared. Srila Prabhupada said, united we stand, divided we fall. Srila Prabhupada gave the example of the sticks. If there is a bundle of sticks tied together, nothing could break it. But if you take out each stick, easily broken. It's the same wisdom of the redwood forest. But how to do that? When devotees are weak, we're here to make them strong. When we're weak, we need the shelter of the Vaishnavas to make us strong. And we're together. In Mayapur, we were discussing the Mahaprakash Leela of Srivasangam. All the devotees got the supreme perfection of their lives by Lord Chaitanya. He bestowed upon them all their blessings. and revealed the very form of God that they worshipped. But he neglected Mukunda Dutt. So like the Redwood forest, no one was happy that I got what I wanted. Because unless Mukunda gets what he needs, how could we be happy? That was the unity of their hearts. It is this kind of culture, this kind of society that each and every one of us are responsible to contribute to. In this spirit, this is how Srila Prabhupada said we can show our love for him. Anyone can say Jai Jai. Anyone can talk about their experiences. And those are wonderful things. But to actually show love, Srila Prabhupada gave his word that the very roots of our hearts are interconnected, so that all of us, we're all concerned with everyone else to grow higher and higher and higher in our bhakti. That's family. Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna, when they come to this world, they come to create a family. Vrindavan, the forest of Brinda, the goddess of devotion. Wherever we are living, we want to create that Vrindavan, that forest where we are all interconnected to help each other grow, to inspire each other, to feel safety, shelter, love, and together to raise our arms and loudly call out the holy name. May I tell you another incident of a year before in the Muir Woods? After we were walking for almost the whole day and talking and sitting and sharing our hearts, which is so important for devotees to do with each other, the Muir Woods Park was closing. Actually, what we usually do whenever we go there is his good wife, Nirakula, or other devotees, they cook prasad for us. So we sit just outside of the Muir Woods on the grass, and we take prasad. And I remember this one year, there was a little chipmunk, like they're tiny squirrels. It was living in a hole in the ground. And it came out, and I couldn't believe it. Vaisheshika Prabhu took a simply wonderful, a sweet ball, prasad, and threw it. And the chipmunk caught it and ate it. And then he went down in the hole, and then he threw it, and it went right into the hole. I was thinking, that's amazing. So I tried throwing it. It went about 3 feet away from the hole. But anyways, we took prasad, whatever we didn't feed the chipmunks. And his wife made pasta with tomato sauce. So it was very nice. Then we went into Muir Woods, and we spent the day soul-searching, talking, laughing, crying, everything. And we came out, and the sun had already set. Something very strange. When we came out of a forest, there was a fire truck with its lights blinking. And we saw several ambulances with their lights swirling, those red lights, emergency. And then we saw several police cars with their lights swirling. Never saw this before. We were wondering, what happened? Must be a disaster. So we walked a little way into the parking lot where my dear godbrother's car was parked. And just when we were approaching our car, a siren went, "Ah!" And we turned around, and a state police car zoomed right up to us with the lights on. And two police officers came out and held their guns out and said, "Put your hands up." They were talking to us. So we put our hands up. And then they searched us to make sure we had no weapons. Good story? And after we were standing like this, then a local county police car zoomed up with its lights on. And the officers came out. And then a city police car came. And then a forest ranger police car came. We were surrounded by squad cars and police. And they were talking to each other, and they were on radios, and they took our identification. And we asked, "Why are you doing this to us?" And very official. They say, "You see all these ambulances and fire engines because we have been getting calls from people's cell phones in your woods that they're being brutally beaten. Several people have been brutally beaten. We're taking them out in stretchers, and they all say the same thing, that they have been beaten by someone in the robes of a monk. And you are the only ones in the robes of monks." So they were taking our IDs and calling, and different police, they kept coming. Others, "Do you need help with these men?" Other policemen, and they were saying, "We have them under control." And then they interrogated, "What are you doing here?" And Vaisheshika said, "He's on a book tour. He wrote a book called The Journey Home, and he was giving lectures at different universities and different corporation headquarters and bookstores." He said, "That sounds like a good excuse." And then the policeman looked at me, and he said, "You don't look like somebody who could beat anybody up." He said, "Let me see if there's any blood on your clothes." "Ah! Blood! What is that? What is that?" He pointed toward my dhoti. I didn't know it, but it was the tomato sauce from the pasta. It was all over my dhoti. He said, "That looks like blood. What is it?" I said, "It's tomato sauce." He was quite suspicious about my answer. It was getting freezing cold, and we were still there. And they held us for about an hour, just standing in the parking lot, surrounded by police. And then they came with one of the victims who was really beaten up. He was in the back of a police car. And they showed us to him. And he looked at us, didn't say anything, got back in the police car, and they drove off. And then the policeman said, He said, "It was not you." But what can we do? You're the only people dressed like monks in this place, in this forest. He said, "We're very sorry that we held you this way." And the state police sheriff ended his holding us by saying, "But I think this will make a good chapter in your next book." So that was a good lesson from the Muir Woods. That in this world, even if we're just trying to do good, whoever we are, we just don't know when difficulties will come. And actually, if that person would have just said, "Yes, that's him," we would have been in jail maybe for years. It's not about wearing monks' robes. I never heard of monks beating people up in woods. It could happen to any one of us at any time. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham. Even if we're perfectly innocent and trying to do good, we may be misunderstood. But if the roots of our affection are connected to Krishna and with each other, it can give us strength by which even the adversities and challenges in life become something wonderful. How many of you like this story? See? It became something wonderful. At the time, it was something that we didn't know what our destiny would be. But now people are inspired, enlivened, educated. So when we are connected, even darkness brings light. Even conflict creates peace. Even antagonism upon us creates compassion. That's what spiritual life is. If our rituals, if our sadhana, hearing, chanting, the 9 processes of devotional service, prayer, puja, if it is not bringing this quality out of our hearts, then it's very unsubstantial. It's not serving its purpose. In order for any of our spiritual practices to actually have maximum or even substantial effect, they have to be developed with good character. Humility, forgiveness, determination, and selfless service. Another lesson we learned from that Redwood forest is how most of the redwood seeds, all of them actually, they're trapped within the redwood cone. The cone is hard like wood, and it's practically impossible for the seed to get out of that cone. In the Muir Woods, we learned, There was 50 years went by with no new trees growing, and they were wondering why. Then they came to the conclusion, because the forest rangers were putting out all the fires too fast. You see, fire, when there's a fire, it cracks open the cone and the redwood seed falls out from the cone into the ground. And the fires also produce ashes, so that when that redwood cone, that seed falls into the ground, it's protected by the ashes. And the soil is nourished by the minerals in the ashes. And also, the fire clears away all the smaller trees so that sunlight could come down into that little sprout that's in the ground. The fires help the little tree to grow. In fact, they're necessary. So we have this bhakti lata bija, the seed of devotion that Srila Prabhupada has planted in all of our hearts by his grace. And we water the seed by hearing and chanting. But usually, it is the inevitable fires that come in our life that help us to actually take it seriously. I've told you many stories about when I was on that airplane. So many times I'm chanting on an airplane that's going for 9 hours, going Hare Krishna. When there was that emergency alarm that we're going to have an emergency landing, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's chanting very, very carefully. One of the reasons Kali Yuga is considered the best of all yugas is because there is so many uncertainties. So we're not complacent when we pray, when we chant. We're not complacent when we have relationships. If there's an emergency, we need each other. People may disagree in the army, but when they're face to face with the enemy and they're shooting at them, they're not having arguments. If I protect you, you're protecting me. That's the only way we can survive. So difficulties help us to understand the urgent need to be united. Difficulty helps us to understand the need to take shelter of the Lord through our prayer, through our yogic practices of hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord. And Lord Chaitanya taught us as another lesson we should learn from these trees. Trinadapi sunichena tador iva sahishnana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. To be humble like a blade of grass. To be forgiving and tolerant like a tree. To offer all respect to others and not demand respect for oneself. It is in this spirit that we can be united. It is in this spirit that we could actually taste the sweetness of Krishna when we call out his names. We could feel his presence. Param dristva nivartate. There are so many fears, so many temptations that come to all of us in this world. But they can be easily overcome if we have a higher purpose, if we're experiencing something higher. In this bhakti tradition of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, We are taught that the absolute truth, the supreme Father of all living beings, or God, is not just the cause of all causes, the source of everything, the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of all existence, the rewarder of piety and the punisher of sin. These are all aspects of that one supreme truth. But we are taught that these are subordinate, almost external aspects of Krishna. Above and beyond, he is the source of all beauty. The ultimate source of all sweetness, of kindness, of love. His pastimes, his leelas, with his devotees, Krishna reciprocates with each devotee unlimitedly. Unlimited love for each of his unlimited children. Playful, supremely charming. The name Krishna means all attractive. Whatever beautiful things we see in this world that may enchant our minds, they are only an infinitesimal spark of a shadow of Krishna's infinite sweetness. The more we understand the beauty of the Lord, the more we naturally fall in love with the Lord. The more we fall in love with the Lord, the more that love extends like the redwood tree roots to all living beings. As we find shelter, we can give shelter. And at the same time, as we get shelter, we can give shelter. And as we give shelter, we receive shelter. This is bhakti. Lord Chaitanya, he taught something that was really revolutionary. Not to be great. Everyone wants to be great. He taught us to be grateful. So many of us want to be the controller, the proprietor, the enjoyer. Lord Chaitanya taught us the ultimate aspiration, which is billions and trillions of quadrillions of unlimited times more satisfying than trying to become God or one with the everything.